evening. Tonight you are invited to leave behind the noise of the world and step onto a quiet road that winds through rolling hills beneath a silver moon. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to accomplish, nothing you need to solve. For this journey, your only task is to listen, relax, and allow yourself to drift wherever the story wishes to take you. Far beyond the busiest cities, beyond crowded streets and bright lights, there existed an old road that few people remembered. It was not marked on modern maps. Travellers rarely spoke of it, and yet from time to time someone would discover it. The road appeared only to those who needed peace. On a cool autumn evening, a traveller named Thomas found himself standing at the beginning of this forgotten path. He could not remember exactly how he had arrived there. The last thing he remembered was watching the sunset from a distant hillside. Now the sky above him had grown dark. Thousands of stars sparkled overhead. The moon hung low and bright, bathing the countryside in gentle silver light. Before him stretched the old road. It curved softly between grassy hills and disappeared into the distance. The night air felt fresh. A gentle breeze carried the scent of pine trees and wildflowers. Everything around him seemed calm, peaceful, safe. Thomas felt no fear, only curiosity, and so he began walking. His footsteps fell softly upon the smooth path. The hills rolled quietly beneath the moonlight. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called once before falling silent again. The world seemed to be slowing down. With every step, the worries he had carried throughout the day began to fade. The road curved gently around a hill. Beyond it stood a field filled with tall silver grass. The moonlight reflected from each blade, making the entire field glow softly like a sea of light. Thomas paused for a moment to admire the sight. The grass moved slowly in the breeze. Waves of silver rolled across the field. It was one of the most peaceful things he had ever seen. As he watched, he noticed something unusual. Tiny lanterns floated above the grass, hundreds of them, each no larger than an apple. Their golden lights drifted lazily through the night air. They moved without sound, without urgency, simply floating wherever the breeze carried them. Thomas stepped closer. One lantern drifted near him. Its warm light illuminated the surrounding grass. For a brief moment, he thought he heard distant laughter. Not loud laughter, not noisy laughter, just the gentle sound of people enjoying a quiet summer afternoon. Then the sound faded. The lantern continued floating onward. Soon it joined the others. Together they drifted across the field like stars that had wandered down from the sky. Thomas smiled. The sight filled him with a strange sense of comfort. He continued walking. The road carried him onward through the hills. Minutes passed, perhaps longer. Time felt different here. Slower, gentler. The moon climbed higher above the landscape. Its light painted everything in soft shades of silver and blue. Eventually the road led him into a forest. Tall trees rose around him. Their branches stretched overhead, forming a natural canopy. Moonlight filtered through the leaves in scattered patterns. The forest was quiet, yet it did not feel empty. It felt alive. The trees seemed to watch over the path. The air smelled of pine needles and fresh earth. Somewhere nearby, a small stream flowed gently over smooth stones. Thomas followed the sound. Soon he discovered the stream winding through the forest floor. The water was perfectly clear. Moonlight danced across its surface. He knelt beside it and listened. The stream made a soothing sound. Soft, steady, endless. Like a lullaby sung by the forest itself. For several peaceful minutes, he simply sat and listened. The water flowed. The leaves rustled. The stars shimmered above. Nothing demanded his attention. Nothing interrupted the silence. Everything felt exactly as it should. Eventually, he stood once more and returned to the road. The path continued deeper into the woods, and somewhere ahead, hidden among the trees, a warm golden light appeared. Thomas walked toward it. The light grew brighter with every step. Soon he discovered a small cottage, standing alone within a clearing. Its windows glowed softly, smoke curled lazily from its chimney. A wooden sign hung beside the door. The words carved into the sign were simple: "The Traveller's Rest." A gentle warmth seemed to surround the cottage, the kind of warmth that made a person feel welcome before they even stepped inside. Thomas approached the door. Before he could knock, it slowly opened. No one stood there, yet the invitation felt clear: come inside and rest. The traveller entered, the room beyond woe. Morning did not arrive in the ordinary way. When Thomas opened his eyes, the fireplace still glowed softly. The cottage remained warm and peaceful. Yet beyond the window, the sky was painted with colours he had never seen before. Soft shades of silver, pale blue and gentle lavender drifted across the horizon. The moon still hung above the trees, but it seemed brighter now, as though the night had chosen to linger a little longer. Thomas stepped outside. The forest greeted him with perfect silence. Tiny droplets of dew rested upon every leaf. The air smelled fresh and clean. He took a slow breath and felt a deep sense of calm. The road waited nearby, unchanged, patient, ready to guide him onward. And so he began walking once more. The trees gradually grew taller as he travelled deeper into the forest. Their trunks were ancient and wide. Some looked as though they had stood there for hundreds of years, perhaps even longer. The path curved gently between them. Golden sunlight never reached this place. Only moonlight, soft and constant. Yet the forest never felt dark. Instead, everything glowed faintly, as if illuminated from within. As Thomas walked, he noticed a curious sound. At first, it seemed like the rustling of leaves. But then he realised it was something else. The trees were whispering, not with words exactly, more like gentle murmurs carried by the wind. The sounds were soothing, comforting, like distant voices sharing peaceful stories. Thomas slowed his pace. The whispers surrounded him. They rose and fell like quiet waves. The more he listened, the more relaxed he became. Every worry drifted away, every thought softened. The forest seemed to encourage stillness, and stillness felt wonderful. Soon he reached a small clearing. At its centre stood a giant tree unlike any he had ever seen. Its trunk was silver. Its leaves shimmered like tiny stars. Beneath its branches rested a wooden bench. Thomas sat down. The bench felt warm despite the cool air. Above him, thousands of glowing leaves swayed gently. One leaf drifted downward, then another and another. They floated through the air like slow-moving snowflakes. When they touched the ground, they dissolved into tiny points of light. The sight was mesmerizing, peaceful, almost dreamlike. Minutes passed, or perhaps hours. Time no longer seemed important. The giant tree continued shedding its glowing leaves. Each one moved gracefully through the air. Each one vanished without a sound. Eventually, Thomas stood and continued along the path. The whispers followed him. Not closely, not loudly, simply remaining somewhere among the trees, like old friends wishing him well on his journey. The road gradually descended into a gentle valley. There he discovered a stream. The same stream he had heard the previous evening, only now it appeared larger. The water flowed slowly over smooth white stones. Tiny lights shimmered beneath its surface. Thomas knelt beside the water. Looking closely, he realised the lights were small silver fish. They moved lazily through the stream. Their scales reflected moonlight like polished glass. The fish seemed completely unafraid. Several drifted near the shoreline. For a few peaceful moments, Thomas watched them glide through the water. Their movements were slow and graceful. Everything in this place seemed designed to encourage calm. Nothing rushed. Nothing struggled. Everything simply existed. The stream eventually curved away into the forest, and the road continued onward beside it. Thomas followed both. The sound of flowing water became a constant companion, soft, steady, gentle, the perfect sound for a long journey. As the daylight-night continued, the forest slowly began to change. The trees grew farther apart. The whispers became quieter. The stream widened, and somewhere ahead, Thomas noticed a soft silver glow spreading across the horizon. He did not yet know what awaited him there, but he felt no need to hurry. The road would lead him when the time was right, and so he continued walking peacefully beneath the eternal moon, toward the silver light waiting in the distance, toward the next chapter of his journey, toward the lake of silent stars.